Israel's Judean desert is situated east of Jerusalem in the West Bank. The eastern boundary descends to the Dead Sea, as does the desert river Nahal Hefer. Translated as Brook of the Friend in Hebrew, the Nahal Hefer flows from the southern West Bank region of Hebron. Just 19 miles or 30 kilometers south of Jerusalem, Hebron is a Palestinian city, the most populated city in the West Bank, nestled in the Judean mountains 3,050 feet or 930 meters above sea level. Around year 132, conflict broke out in Judea. To defend the Jews of the Roman province, Simon Bar Kokhba and his men created large numbers of underground hideout caves in towns and villages. The cave systems, interconnected by narrow passages, were also used for storage and refuge for their families. Evidence of this period was provided in the discovery of fragments of papyri, documents, and letters written in Greek by Bar Kokhba and others in the Nahal Hefer Cave of Letters. More artifacts were found nearby in Cave 8. Nahal Hefer Cave 8, situated in Ein Gedi, Israel, became known as the Cave of Horror after 40 skeletons were discovered inside the cave. Jewish refugees sought shelter in this cave almost 1,900 years ago. In 1960, archaeologist Yigail Yadin excavated fragments of letters, writings, coins, and an ancient Greek copy of the biblical Book of 12. Since 2017, the Israel Antiquities Authority, in collaboration with staff officer of the Archaeology Department in Judea and Samaria, has undertaken the national project of surveying the caves of the Judean desert and their excavation. The project was funded by the Ministry of Jerusalem Affairs and Heritage. The caves are barely accessible. The only access is abseiling down to them. During an operation to protect the Judean caves, archaeologists from the Israel Antiquities Authority announced in March 2021 that dozens of Dead Sea Scrolls fragments and other relics had been found. The Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered in the Qumran caves of the Judean desert, near Ein Feshcha, on the northern shore of the Dead Sea. These ancient Jewish religious manuscripts have great religious, historical, and linguistic significance. The most well-known texts were found in 11 caves, and additional discoveries were mostly documents and letters. The scrolls consist of two types of manuscripts, biblical and non-biblical. The language used in the scrolls were mainly Hebrew, while some were in Aramaic and several in Greek. The materials are mostly parchment with some papyrus, and one text is engraved on copper. Most of the manuscripts were written with powdered charcoal, which was fairly easy to erase. They were found between 1946 and 1956 by a team of archaeologists and 3 Bedouin shepherds, Mohammedan Deeb, his cousin Jums Muhammad, and Khalil Musa. Upon entering the cave, the first Bedouin found a collection of large clay jars with lids and their contents intact. A closer look revealed old scrolls, some wrapped in linen and blackened with age. The Bedouins brought the manuscripts to Kandu, a Bethlehem antiquities dealer, for evaluation. Kandu was intrigued by the discovery, so he sent the Bedouins back to the caves in search of more scrolls. 7 were found in total. Unaware of their real value, the Bedouins sold 4 to Kandu and 3 to Salahi, a second antiquities dealer.
He who takes pity even on a sparrow and spares its life, Allah will be merciful on him on the day of judgment. Hadith, Islam.
Let us take a few moments to thank all the archaeologists for their diligent research. We'll be right back to find out more about what happened to the scrolls here on Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to Judean Desert Caves, Safekeepers of Rare Biblical Treasures, Part 1 of 2. Metropolitan Bishop Athanasius Yeshu Samuel from Kandu purchased 4 of the scrolls that had been discovered by the Bedouins: the Isaiah scroll, the Community Rule, the Habakkuk Pesher, and the Genesis Apocryphon. When Israeli archaeologist Professor Dr. Eliezer Lipa Sukenik at Hebrew University heard of the scrolls' discovery, he set out to investigate the significance of the findings. He met with the Armenian antiquities dealer, and a fragment of a manuscript was examined. Professor Sukenik recognized the ancient writing and was eager to see more. Together, the professor and dealer traveled to Bethlehem to see Salahi, who had the other 3 scrolls. Sukenik was in awe when he opened these and later wrote in his diary about the experience.
My hands shook as I started to unwrap one of them. I read a few sentences. It was written in beautiful biblical Hebrew. The language was like that of the Psalms, but the text was unknown to me. I looked, and I suddenly had the feeling that I was privileged by destiny to gaze upon a Hebrew scroll which had not been read for more than 2,000 years.
In 1947, Dr. John C. Trevor of the American Society of Overseas Research, or ASOR, compared the script in the scrolls to that of the Nash Papyrus, which is the oldest known biblical manuscript, and found similarities between them. On April 11, 1948, Miller Burrows, head of the ASOR, released a general press announcing the discovery of the scrolls. The search for the original cave where the fragments of the Dead Sea Scrolls had been found led to its rediscovery and the excavation of the site in 1949. Additional fragments, linen cloth, jars, and other artifacts were found. Rendezvous and his team from the ASOR began a full excavation of the Qumran site in November 1951. 3 months later, 300 fragments from 33 manuscripts written in Hebrew were found in a second cave. Ultimately, a total of 11 caves and the remains of hundreds of ancient scrolls were discovered, the last one being in 1956. Amid regional turmoil in 1949, Syrian Archbishop Samuel secretly brought his precious 4 scrolls out of the country to the United States. Later in 1954, he placed them up for sale in a Wall Street Journal advertisement. Yigael Yadin, son of Professor Sukenik, bought these on behalf of the State of Israel. Yadin then united them with the 3 already at the Hebrew University. The shrine of the book was built to house these 7 scrolls in 1965. Amazingly, these fragile pieces of parchment and papyrus, which include the oldest existing copies of the Hebrew Bible, were preserved for 2,000 years by the hot, dry desert climate and the darkness of the caves where they were found. The manuscripts provide an unparalleled picture of the diverse religious beliefs of ancient Judaism and of daily life during the period when Lord Jesus Christ lived and preached. The best preserved of all the biblical scrolls is the great Isaiah scroll, one of the original 7 Dead Sea Scrolls. It is also the largest and only one that is almost complete. Dating from around 125 BC, it consists of 54 columns with 66 chapters of the Hebrew version of the biblical book of Isaiah. In 1993, Supreme Master Qinghai mentioned the Dead Sea Scrolls during a lecture in Honolulu, USA.
The Christ teachings in his time and the Christian teaching at this time are all right. Both are all right. Maybe the present teaching of Christianity is missing, has been censored in some part, but this I dare not say in case I be in trouble. And the other teaching of Jesus while he was alive may be more recorded, you see. According to the Dead Sea Scrolls that I have read, supposed to be very ancient. Even while Jesus was alive, it was recorded. There are many things, some things are missing in the Bible.
What fascinating discoveries and insights! With heaven's blessings, may these precious ancient texts remind and inspire us to follow the wise and compassionate teachings of Lord Jesus Christ.
Vegan, because the animals are the blessing for our planet.
Blessed viewers, thank you for your delightful company today.